hello, everyone. It's great to give a session about goal setting. Goal setting is something that's very important in our company. We work with this methodology. So if you want to see something of the secret sauce of MCI, this is it. This is how we work. My slides are pretty full with text. It makes it easy for you to absorb. If my accent or if the sound is not good, then you can still read what I'm trying to tell you, but I'll talk around it. But you can read along with me. I made it simple, removed as many of the animations as possible. So it's a fairly straightforward presentation. Okay, here we go. One day, Alice came to a fork in the road and saw a Cheshire cat in a tree. "Which road do I take?" she asked. His response was a question. "Where do you want to go?" "I don't know," Alice answered. "Then," said the cat, "it doesn't matter." Because that's how it works, people. If you don't know where you're going, any road can take you there. You have to know where you want to go. And I want to talk to you about a methodology for setting goals and for planning the way to get there. Because a goal without a plan, that's just a wish. Now, being practical, ideas are easy. Execution is everything. Everybody's got a plan. The famous philosopher, boxer, American boxer used to say, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face. I mean, realistic working, doing, execution, that's how you get to the results. To get the best results, you have to define your goals very, very clearly. And you must make sure that what you want to achieve is measurable and verifiable. Otherwise, you end up in endless discussions and you'll never know if you actually got there. The first thing to do probably is to write goals down. The simple act of writing down goals makes them much more likely to be addressed. If you say you're going to run a marathon and you write it down and you show this to everybody, you're going to run a marathon. I mean, you committed, right? Everybody knows, by the way, the difference between involved and committed. Think about it. In a ham and egg sandwich, the chicken is involved, the pig is committed. So be a pig on this one, okay? Committed all the way. That's how you set your goals. Now, at MCI, we use a methodology. Methodology that's based on 3 steps. Our model is we talk about the issue, we talk about the actions, and we talk about the KPIs. KPIs stands for key performance indicators. Key performance indicators. The issue is the opportunity or the problem you want to tackle. The actions are the 3 or 4 things maximum that you do to address the issue. And the KPIs are there to measure the actions, not the issue, the actions. I'm going to walk you through all this step by step. The issue first. I mean, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to solve a problem? Are you trying to develop an opportunity? You have to try and define this as the issue. It takes time. It takes time to correctly define an issue. If I do this with my colleagues, sometimes we can have a half an hour discussion about one issue. People come up with examples like, we have to win more accounts. No, that is an action. Why are you winning more accounts? Why? Keep on asking why until you get to the issue. The issue, the definition of the issue is very, very important. After that, you can decide what the actions are that are going to take you there. If you define your issue poorly, there's no point. You then never know whether you actually got there or not. And successful addressing of an issue should provide clear value to your company. When we do this at MCI, we always look at our 5-year plan. What is the vision for the next 5 years? We translate that into steps, into what do we do each year to get to that 5-year vision. And for the vision of the year, we then divide the roles and people try to contribute to the objective of the company. So don't set goals that have nothing to do with the business plan. Set goals that support your company, support your team, and trying to achieve what they need to achieve for the year. So these are the issues. Now let's talk about the actions. The actions describe how the issue is addressed, and it should be expressed in identifiable milestones. I'll get a little bit further into that in a moment. An action should be aggressive, but at the same time realistic. It should be tangible. You should be able to almost touch it, to clearly define it. It should be objective and unambiguous. There should be no doubt about what your action is going to be. And they should describe outcomes, not activities like help this person, or I'm going to consult someone, or I'm going to analyze this, because that's not a clear action. You could analyze in 2 minutes, or you can spend 6 months analyzing something. Don't use verbs like that. Be very, very concrete about what you're going to be doing. Now, one issue typically requires 3, maybe 4 concrete actions, and each one should be addressing the issue in a useful manner. We always say the actions, 3 or 4 actions really make 80% of the difference. Don't try to be perfect. Perfection is the enemy of good. Do something, settle on 3, 4 things that will make a dent in the universe, as Steve Jobs liked to say. 3 or 4 well-driven actions should address the issue. So that's what you need to know about the actions. Then let's talk about the KPIs, the key performance indicators. They have to describe outcomes in a measurable way. It should be a number. It should be a date. It should be a dollar sign. Like we're going to reach 12. We're going to be there by the 30th of April. We're going to make $750,000 with this. Because if you're so precise, you either reach your KPI or you don't. There should be no room for interpretation. We have a way of tracking our goals at MCI. And when I make a dashboard of the people and all their goals, it's sort of a spreadsheet matrix. Then I put little colored dots in there, green, yellow, or red. Green means we're on track. This month, we're on track. We're on our way to achieve our goal. Yellow means we're almost there. It needs some tweaking, but we're working on it. We'll get there. And red means it's not green and it's not yellow. Very simple. If you're not green or not yellow, you're off track. And that means red flag. That is how clear it should be. Very precise, no room for interpretation. I'm going to give you an example. Okay, I'm going to make up an example for, let's say, a meetings management company. And I'm going to explain to you how we define the issue, what actions we defined, and how we measure the KPIs. Okay, here's the example. The rapid recruitment of staff after COVID meant that people with less experience have joined the team, and quality is at risk. I think you can all imagine something with that. We lost a lot of people in our industry during COVID, and after that we started to recruit. Sometimes we had to recruit so fast that people with less experience joined the team. Lots of energy, lots of goodwill, but less experience. And now we have to make sure that they get to the level of quality required for us to deliver the work that we have to deliver to the client. So let's take some actions to address the issue. Actions, I propose 3. First one, document minimum operating standards, which must be followed by all. By writing them down very clearly, everybody knows what is expected of them. The second action I would propose is provide training and track participation. Just providing training is not enough. You need to make sure that people go through the training process. Otherwise, this action will have no impact. And the third one could be implement an audit system to measure the improvements. They were this good before, we've done the training, we tracked the participation, now they're that good. You can do a test, you can see client satisfaction, different ways of measuring, but you have to implement something to see if you delivered. So what are the KPIs? On this example, I took some dates. Dates are very easy to measure. We have to write down and agree on those minimum standards by April 30th. That means we have 26 days to go. Better start working. Minimum standards defined properly by April 30th. Then we are going to create online training modules because our people are everywhere. Let's do this by May 31st. It has to be finished by May 31st. No negotiation there. And then we schedule training sessions for all staff. And we know that it's not always easy to get everybody, but we want to achieve 80% participation rate. And they have to be gone through this training by July 31st for at least 80%. This is a typical thing we would do at MCI. We would set a training program and we would track participation by a certain date to make sure that everybody has gone through the training. Very concrete, very tangible, very measurable. Okay? So that's an example. Now let's talk a little bit about the important things of how you set your issues, actions, and KPIs. For the effectiveness and real value The issues need to be clearly linked to your business plan. I mentioned that earlier. A clear vision of where your company will be in 3 to 5 years helps you to define the important issues. Very, very important. Start with a business plan, then translate your objectives into issues, measurable actions with KPIs. Defining issues not only helps to focus on what must be done, but also very important, it helps to define what clearly doesn't matter. Everybody has limited resources. By setting your priorities, you make choices. It directs attention and energy to where the priorities are. As an example, I was once sitting down with one of our vice presidents, and we were having our monthly chat about the priorities. And the first month she said to me, I didn't have much time to work on this. A lot of client demands came in. I had to work on those things. I said, that's fine. No problem. A month later, I got the same story. I say, stop. Everybody stop. Why do we call them priorities? And I get this person staring at me for a moment, and then they start to laugh and say, yeah, you're right, actually. I say, I don't need you to work on clients. I need you to build the infrastructure through which the others can work on clients. That's why you're the vice president. That's why you have to do this thing. So focus on your priorities, because your colleagues know that you're building this. And if you're not doing it, they'll fall in a gap. You need to focus on your priorities. And that works for everybody. It's very difficult. You get distracted. You need to focus on what you have to do, and it will clearly define what you don't have to do. Hard goals drive performance more than easy goals. Make your goals harder. And specific goals produce a higher level of output. So make your goals hard and specific. Okay? It's important to push yourself. You don't have to achieve everything. You have to achieve a certain number of your goals. How do I mean that? I mean this like as such. Operational versus aspirational. Some issues that you want to deal with will be purely operational, very simple, straightforward, logistical, and they should always be met in full. But other issues may be aspirational. You really want to reach something big. In that case, it's okay to not always reach your goal fully. Stretch goals bring out the best in people, and the results may still be amazing. As they say, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you'll still be among the stars, right? So operational and aspirational issues are different. In Google, as a company where they use this methodology, they say that you have to reach about 70 to 80% of your goals. If you reach 100% of your goals, you made it too easy. If you reach 50% or less, you made it too hard. So you have to set aspirational goals and operational goals and try to really reach it, because that will drive performance, hard and specific. Another very important thing to make sure that the goals and the issues contribute to the success of your company is to be transparent about them. Issues, actions, and KPIs should be shared transparently with others. This helps you to understand what the whole team is working on. If you have a business plan for 5 years and you translate this into your core objectives for the year, and you are working with a team of 12 to deliver this, you need to know what the left hand and the right hand is doing, because you alone will not deliver the whole plan, but together you will deliver the plan. And you need to know who's on track and who is not on track, because it will affect others. And that brings alignment and a sense of team, because issues are often linked. The guys on IT need to work on software problems so that the people in HR can actually manage the people better, and so that the people in operations can actually measure, and the people in finance can count the money. So you need to connect, you need to see the connections and keep people aligned. It's very important, because a lack of alignment is the number one obstacle between strategy and execution. Take any course in any big business school, and sooner or later they will be talking about strategy is great. Turning strategy into execution, that is where most companies fail. And this methodology helps you in translating strategy into execution. It creates also clear accountability. We all know who is responsible for achieving what, which is very, very important. This is how you can track who's taking care of what. There's no things that are left that fall between the seats. Everybody knows. And as a planner, as a boss, as a leader, you can see, are all my bases covered, right? And public goals are more likely to be attained than private ones. If everybody knows from everybody what they're going to be achieving, it's more likely that it's happening. Like I said before, if you're going to run a marathon, tell everyone. That way, you're sure that you won't bail out at the last moment because everybody is expecting you and holding you accountable. Then there is this discussion that often comes up about, okay, so if you reach your goals, should you get a reward? Should you get a prize, a bonus, or whatever? And here is a very clear statement. Bonuses need to be kept separate from issue achievement. Otherwise, people may be encouraged to set safe issues. The bonuses should come in on the overall performance of the business and of the business goals and the business plan of the company, not issue per issue, because otherwise you encourage people to set issues and actions that are easy to achieve, and then they might get their bonus, but they might not have contributed to the overall success of the company. When it's about setting goals and picking KPIs, you have to balance quality and quantity. KPIs balanced for quantity and quality keeps them balanced. So don't only say make 100 sales calls, but say make 100 sales calls that lead to 20 appointments, right? Quality. Everybody can make 100 sales calls, but good calls will lead to an appointment. So 100 sales calls that lead to 20 appointments. Hey, that's a good one. Quantity and quality balanced. Okay. Then there is the duration. How often do you set goals and how often do you measure? You define your issues, actions, and KPIs for a set period. Now, it depends a little bit in which industry you are. Again, Google, who uses a similar methodology, I think they set their goals every 3 months because technology is a fast-changing industry. Here at MCI, we set our goals for 6 months. We close our books in the middle of the year. We do an intermediate making up of the balance of the books, and then we can, if we have financial KPIs, we can measure against those. And that means that if I give goals to my colleagues, they have time to work on them. 6 months is nice. It's near future, so actions must be immediate and they must be concrete. But it is not so close that you don't have time to work on it. But it's not so far that you say, end of the year, I'll see that in the summer. No. You have to start working on it now because 6 months fly by. And it drives actions and limits procrastination, right? So don't make your deadlines too far away. Keep them a little bit tight. Keep people on their toes. That's important. Now, I mentioned it before, 3 to 4 issues should be enough. If you have too many issues, you dilute the focus. And each issue should have 3, 4, maybe 5 actions and KPIs, not more than that. Did you know that the word priority in the English dictionary only became priorities in, what was it, the 1950s or so? Before that, the word priority was only singular. We have a priority or we don't have a priority. To talk about priorities already dilutes things a little bit. If you have 12 priorities, you don't have priorities. You have a to-do list. Right? Priorities are the top 3 things that you really want to achieve. When you set your goals, do them up and down. Issues should be defined in collaboration. If you happen to be a leader of a team, a boss of a company, don't sit there and hand out the issues and tell people what to solve. Have a conversation. Have them participate in what needs to be done, because these people have insights and it will contribute to the proper fixing of the issues. We say that roughly half of the issues should be coming from the top and half should be coming from the bottom, and that should engage in a discussion. It's more engaging if people participate in their own goal setting. If they co-create the challenges, they will feel more obliged to achieve them. You should also review the goals regularly, regularly and transparently, and share it with everyone. For instance, I mentioned it before, management reviews everything every month or every second month, and you can put your results on, if you have an intranet, on the intranet. In our company, we have what we call a general management team. It's a team of 12 people that run the company on a monthly basis. They come together. And the first slide says the date and the time of the meeting. And the second slide that comes up in that meeting is the dashboard with everybody's priorities and how people are progressing. Very straight. It's the first thing we talk about, right? Monthly review of the priorities to make sure that we're on track. It's really a matter of discipline. And then you've done it all. You've done your work, you've set your issues, you've defined your actions, you've got your KPI measuring points, you go to work, you do 6 months of, say, hard work, and you try to achieve your goals. And then what? And then you have to do what we call the post-mortem. the assessment after death, right? A post-mortem of issues after the set period will allow you to learn from the experience. You have to evaluate if the issues were correctly defined. Maybe you made a mistake somewhere and the issue it wasn't really the issue that you thought it was going to be. Were the actions really addressed that, and did they address the issue? Because you could pick wrong actions, or you can set an action that makes no impact on the issue. And did you set the KPIs right? Or were you too tough or too light? Maybe you did reach the 100, but 100 was not enough. You should have been at 150. It's very important that you don't use this session as a complaint session. You don't sit there to judge. You don't go and say to someone, that was bad job, not well done, you didn't make your goals. You just learn, because remember, the goal setting happens from the top and from the bottom. You do it together. So achieving also is something that you own together. You need to know who's accountable. If you set the goals with someone, you're co-accountable for those goals. So learn that maybe you took too much on your fork, or maybe because you had a big project in mind and then operations, clients, deadlines happened and you had to do that. That's reality. I've seen it many times when we had a whole set of good goals and issues defined for our technology department, and then COVID hit and we had to make changes in the company very, very fast. So none of the goals were achieved, but boy, did they work hard and did they do well. Sometimes you need to come to a decision not to pursue a goal because the situation has changed. If that happens, again, be transparent about it. Tell everybody on your dashboard, this goal no longer applicable, because it may have a knock-on effect for other people. And they need to know who's working on what, and if things are stopped, they need to know that too. Management research says that productivity is enhanced by well-defined and challenging goals. And a healthy culture and a structured goal setting are interdependent. They are natural partners in the quest for operating excellence. A good culture and structured goal setting. Why is this important? Your culture in your company has to be one of collaboration, of let's do this together, of transparency. Because if it's fighting, if it's competition, then goal setting may quickly lead to finger pointing and people holding other people accountable for failures. That's not what it's about. Goal setting is about being clear where we're all going together, helping each other, supporting each other, reaching that overarching company goal that you have set in your business plan. So make sure your culture is one of understanding, support, running for that goal, committed. That's the spirit to go. For the system to work effectively, the team deploying it must adopt it universally. No opt-outs, no exceptions. When I hold my vice presidents and leaders of the back office accountable for their goals, they can hold me accountable for my goals. The CEO and I both have a set of goals, and we report on them every month on how we're making progress, and everybody can see whether we're on track or not. And that's important. If you have people who do it and other people who don't do it, you get a sort of a half-cooked solution. You don't want that. Everybody's in, no opt-outs, no exceptions. Boy, this goes fast. Are there any questions so far? You can type them in, you can unmute, you can shout something out. I'll happily take questions. I'm unusually clear this time. Okay, I just want to show you one more thing.
I have a question. For how long are you doing this at MCI?
More than 10 years, probably close to 15 years. Yeah, absolutely.
So you're perfect now.
Perfection. We're so close. No, this is a tried and tested methodology. Actually, this leads me to this slide. There's a book out there that's called Measure What Matters from John Doerr. I've been doing this methodology for years already, and then this book came out and someone drew my attention to it. And I know John Doerr is like an angel investor. He comes from a technology background, and he's been trained by the very best in management in Silicon Valley. And he wrote this book about measuring what matters, and he calls it OKRs, Objectives and Key Results. And when I read his book, I said that is amazing. It's almost exactly what I'm doing. And I picked up quite a few good tips on how to execute things well. If you read his book, you will see that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation uses this methodology. Google was built on this methodology. From the start, they started working like this. Bono, the singer from U2, he uses this methodology for his One Africa initiative. A lot of companies are actually using this whole system of goal setting and measuring and holding people accountable to really drive performance. So I was really happy to read this, and I fine-tuned some of my methodologies based on what I read from John's book. But basically, it is equal to what we have been doing in the company for many, many years. So if you want to read it up, and there's a lot of examples in there about business, about sports, about everything, then this is a nice book to dive into. Anybody else? Any questions?
Jurriaen, I have a question. Thank you so much. It was very interesting, very insightful, and thanks so much for that. It was very concise and learned a lot from it. If you were to make a comment on one area where you feel is possibly where it might let the method down, or one area that you believe might be that you should focus on the most, what would it be in everything that you present?
You have to be religious about it, I guess. We do it at the top. In our company. So we hold all the vice presidents and heads of back office departments. I hold them personally accountable, and I run through these systems with them. I've seen some of our offices implement this system, and it depends a little bit. I'm always very precise on the issue, the formulation of the issue. To get that right, I've seen it many times. If you get the issue not quite right, you lose 6 months. You're working for the wrong thing. Also, identify an issue that you truly control. Where I see a lot of people make mistakes is that they want to tackle a problem that they don't actually fully control. I don't know, I'm just making this one up. If marketing says we're going to build a great CRM system, I say, well, it's a great vision, but you're not a programmer and you don't have those skills. You're going to depend on other people. And if you think you can walk over to the IT department and say, start programming now, they will say, look, I have a to-do list of my own. Take a number, And so own the things that you really control. Don't go for goals where you depend too much on other people, because you might fail. And I've seen that happen also with us. Also, after years of experience, it sometimes still happens. So the issue formulation is important, and make sure that what you aim for is something that you truly control.
I have a question, Jurriaen. It's Nikki here. Angela, apologies. There seems to be 10 Nikkis on this call. I promise you it's only one of me. I don't know what's going on there. Jurriaen, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. And I suppose I'm going to be very honest, pre-pandemic, we had a very clear strategy that had a very strong structure around it. So my question to you is, in light of, I suppose, the situation many of us are in, with still building teams and training teams, how important is the structure around that strategy, and what advice could you give us on, I suppose, the resource management around building a very strong strategy?
One of the things we do in our company is we regularly do a STEP analysis, or PEST analysis, if it's what you want. It's society, technology, economy, and politics. You look at the world and you try to assess what's going on here. What is changing, what's happening. Obviously, a pandemic had a big impact on our way of working, but a war in Europe may have an impact on supply chains, because all of a sudden countries don't work in the normal way together. Technology breakthroughs, very, very important, may change everything that you're doing from one day to the other. Look at how video conferencing and hybrid meetings became very important. Now you see a lot of artificial intelligence popping up, ChatGPT, that all these things are influencing content in our meetings. So you should regularly sit down, assess the world in a STEP analysis, and sit down with a few big heads and say, what does it mean to us? What does it mean to our clients? To set a good strategy, you have to think beyond yourself. We have something that we call third box thinking. Third box thinking, that is, you and your company are in the first box. Your clients are in the second box. The clients of your clients are in the third box. If you can solve a problem for the third box, you become the best friend of the second box. So if you can think about the third box a lot, you become a better partner for your own clients, the second box. And all these things influence your strategy. It's a safe bet to say that technology is going to be more important. So that's one of our goals. We want to integrate technology more in what we do. We've seen that the world changes, economical models change. So we set ourselves up to be flexible for economical models and how people charge, how people measure, how success is defined. All these things are integrated into our strategies and business plans. And once you know that, then you sit down, you explain the business plans to your leaders, and then you ask them, okay, with that in mind, and this is where I come in, I usually sit down with them one at a time and say, you know the plan, you know what Sebastian, our CEO, has said, this is what we're going to pursue. What are you going to do in the next 6 months to make that happen? And then they're going to say like, okay, this and this is beyond me, but I can influence those points. Okay, tell me, what are you going to do? What's the issue you're going to solve here, or the problem you're solving, or the issue, the opportunity that you're going to build on? And then we work. And then when everybody has done this work, I look to see if all the opportunities in our business plan have been properly addressed. If there's a gap, we adapt the structure. We create a position. We create a mission for someone. If everything is properly covered, then we work with the people that we have and the structure that we have.
Right. Thank you. When I sneak in another question.
Sure.
It's interesting that you reset your goals every 6 months. I like that idea. Do you dramatically change them when you review them after 6 months, or are you pretty much on target?
It's usually you set a goal to achieve the goal, and if you have achieved the goal, you move on to the next goal. So it's not a matter of dramatically changing, it's building on. The 5-year plan requires we start here, we end up there. The way we set our plans is that we define the plan for the future, and then we calculate how we got there by moving backwards. They always say, if you look 1 year ahead, you only see problems. If you look 5 years ahead, you see opportunities. So start with the opportunities and then work your way back. And that means that if we have to be there by 5 years, we should have already been there by 4 years. That means after 3 years, if we're not there yet, we're not going to make it. And that means in 2 years from now, we should already have achieved this. And this is how we build our plans. And then I can sit down with someone and say, okay, the business for this year says by the 31st of December, we want to have reached these goals. Now, today is 12th of January. What are you going to do between now and the 30th of June to get a good step in that direction? And then sometimes they already pencil in, if I make this and I can achieve this, then I will work on those goals afterwards. So they give a bit of direction for the rest of the year. But I don't ask anybody to plan goals for 2-3 years ahead. It's probably too vague. They must have a vision. I ask everybody who writes up their goals to have a vision for their department and how they contribute to the success of the company overall. But the goal setting, very precise, very articulate, goes for 6 months. And sometimes it happens that a goal is not achieved. We look at why. Then we say, in the post-mortem, we look at why. Why was it? Were we too ambitious? Has the world changed? What's going on? And then we can decide, let's do this goal again. And this time we're going to make it. We're going to fine-tune something. Or we say, it's no longer relevant anyway. So we move on to something else.
Super. Thank you, Jurriaen.
Pleasure.